Well, hello everybody. Good morning and welcome to Vibrant Living. Let's get into today's lesson as we're going to continue talking about wisdom for wellness. Wisdom for wellness. I often go back to 3 John verse 2, where the Lord was speaking through the Apostle John, and he said these words: I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. There it is. God said it. God's desire is that his children be healthy, that his creation be healthy. He didn't create you and I for sickness and disease. He didn't create you and I to be struggling with cancer, diabetes, and arthritis, and all these things that we're dealing with. And of course, my heart goes out to anybody dealing with any of those issues. But there is wisdom from God. The great God, the wise God, the creator of everything. Come on, he is omnipresent, he is all-knowing, and he is all-wise. And he has wisdom, he has made wisdom available for our health. Some years ago, the Lord spoke to my heart and said, I don't sustain my people's, my children, or humanity's health with a miracle. I do it with my wisdom. Now, does God give miracles of healings? Yes, we know that, and thank God that his miracle working power is available. But he doesn't give us a miracle every day, as we would view miracle, to sustain our health. He's expecting us to be responsible for how we take care of ourselves, to what we put in our bodies. Good morning, Pastor Peel. So glad to have you on. He's expecting us to gain the knowledge of how to take care of ourselves. If you note one thing, when you were born, you weren't born with a brain full of knowledge on health matters, relationship matters, financial matters, or just living. No, you were not born that way. We were born with empty minds. And we had to download, if you would, information by observing our parents and, of course, other people in our world. As we began to grow, we observed how other people treated themselves, how other people ate, whether they exercised, and all of that kind of stuff. So you have to learn, in other words. Your health hinges upon what you know. Let me say it again. Your health hinges upon what you know and what you apply of what you know. That your health hinges on that. You don't make health decisions when you go to the doctor's office or to the hospital. No, you are stimulated when you go to those different places and they give you the diagnosis or of their intervention with you. But you make health decisions. Every time you bring that cup up to your mouth, so whatever is in that cup, whether it's water versus a soda or tea or whatever, and I'm not saying that teas are not good for you. There are a lot of teas that are good for you, but then these teas that we go loaded with, dear God, no telling how many spoonfuls of sugar. You need to think about that a second time. So when you raise that cup up to your mouth, what's in that cup? Because at that moment, or that bottle, or that container, whatever that container is, because at that moment, you're making a health decision. Every time you bring that fork to your mouth, what's on the other end of that fork? Or that spoon, when you bring it up, what's on the end of that spoon? Because it's at that moment you're making a health decision. We're talking today about wisdom for wellness. And these are things that we've got to think about so that we will be in control of our health. And we won't have to outsource our health so much. You know what I'm talking about. If you're having to be at the doctor's office, having to be there 3 and 4 times a year, there's some things, no doubt, that you've got to tweak, unless you've already got an existing problem, of course, and you got to go and get all the care you can. I'm not against that. What I'm dealing with, what I'm here to advocate, for the most part, is prevention and wisdom to correct some of the problems that we've created for ourselves. The doctor didn't create the problem. You know, or the hospital, we create these problems. You can't tell me the city that you're living in right now that last night out of 100 babies that were born, 30% of them had cancer, or 25% of them had diabetes, or 75% of them already had tendencies of dementia or Alzheimer's disease. No, that's usually not the case at all. So through ignorance, through watching others live bad dietary lives or lifestyles, we pick up things. We learn things from others. And then we compound it, you know, with things that we are given knowledge to. All right, let me put it like this. Now, I used to be a sugar addict. I was addicted to sugar. And some of you are right now addicted to sugar. Some of you are addicted to sodas, addicted to eating meat 3 and 4 times a day. That's not going to cut it. Your kidneys are not big as a basketball. They can't break down but so much protein in a given period of time. And then we're eating even the meats as believers that God told us not to eat. You know, it's amazing. We trust God for salvation. We trust God and believe that if we believe on the Lord Jesus, confess our sins and all that good stuff, I'm going to heaven. But when it comes down to our diet, we don't want to hear God too much of that area. So you mean to tell me that God has a lot to say about finances? God has a lot to say about relationships. God has things to say about heaven and nothing about your diet? Yes, he does. He has a lot to say about it. He told us about our dietary lifestyles, what they should be like, our hygiene and all that stuff in the very beginning, in the beginning books of the Bible, in the book of Genesis, chapter 1 of Genesis. God began to talk to us about what to put in the vehicle that he would live in, our human bodies. But you know, all the time, we don't want to hear God in that particular area. Oh, yes, speak to me about the Holy Spirit. Speak to me about finances. Prophesy to me. I'm prophesying to you right now. I'm speaking of what God has delivered to me so that I can deliver it to you about your health. Because again, your number one wealth is your health. We got more problems health-wise. And the biggest reason, I believe, after years of study down these lines and working to listen to God in this particular area, I believe that the number one cause of the perpetuation of sickness and disease in our world is the lack of knowledge and wisdom. Because 3 John again said, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health according to your mind prospering about what God has said about what to put in the human body and how to treat the human body. It's wisdom. The prodigal son left home and did not take with him, it's apparent, the wisdom of his father. So he went and squandered his inheritance. And we oftentimes go and squander our health because we are separated from, for whatever reason, the wisdom of God. He created the body. I didn't create it. You didn't create it. It wasn't my idea or your idea or the doctor or the hospital or the scientist or the biologist or the whoever. The human body is the design of God. And we need to go back to the creator who created the human body for his wisdom. We do that when you get a car, you buy whatever type of car, something happens to that car, particularly if it's a brand new car, man, you're quick to go back to the dealer whom you bought that vehicle from. So now I have a problem here. Now, we don't think like that oftentimes when it comes down to the human body. We'll run to everybody else before we run to God. We need to consult God if we believe that God created the human body, and if we're willing to accept his knowledge and his wisdom about how to take care of it. Come on, the God who created the universe, who created the human body, he didn't leave us knowledge and wisdom and understanding and instructions on how to take care of the greatest of his creation, the human body. We were created in his likeness and his image, not the monkey or the cow or the pig or the squirrel. Good morning, Brother Todd. Grand rising, and good morning. None of those animals were created in the image of God. We were. But it seems like they live healthier lives than we do. How often do you hear on news 300 elephants complaining about cancer? 4,000 gorillas complaining about dementia or Alzheimer's disease? How often do we hear of stuff like that? How often do we hear of lions not having enough energy and they haven't eaten in 24 hours or 36 hours, but they don't have enough energy to go chase that buffalo so they can have a meal? We don't hear of stuff like that among the animals. We're hearing that stuff about those kind of things from among us as humans. I thought we were superior to them. I thought that we were left in charge. Why is it that they are living healthier lives and longer lives according to, their design than we as humans? Why is it that the elephant doesn't go to the cow for milk after the weaning years? Why is it that we as humans do this kind of stuff? Who trained us this way? Wow. These are things we've got to think about. Because I haven't read the statistics of 3 million dogs struggling with diabetes every year. 6 million monkeys dying of heart problems. I don't hear of that kind of stuff. Now, if you do, please send me the information about it. My point is simple. There's some changes we got to make. We got to do like the Supremes used to sing in that song, stop in the name of life before you destroy your heart. Think things over. Oh yeah, I know I reworded the song, but we got to stop. Man, we got to put brakes on things that are going on. If mama died of cancer and you're eating the same way that mama ate, what do you think is going to happen to you? If daddy died of a heart disease and you keep doing the same thing, eating the same things that daddy ate, or having, relationships, where, whatever the case, how daddy related with mama. My point is, we got to find out, why are people dying at premature ages? Why did so-and-so die of diabetes or Alzheimer's or whatever the case is, so that we can make some changes? Because if you keep doing what you've always done and what other people have done that led them to an early grave, it's going to happen to you too. And this is why we need the wisdom of the Creator. And this is what I'm talking about right now. This is the third segment on this, wisdom for wellness. Some things we've got to think about. But again, I got to go back over this. There's some of you, like I had to as well. I was not raised the way I teach. I learned this stuff. The Lord told me close to 30 years ago, this is a part of your assignment in the earth. And I told him, I don't know anything hardly about this area. You know what he told me? I'm calling you to know it, to learn it, to know it, to apply it, and to teach it. Well, we all have somewhat of that same assignment. You got to learn how to take care of the human body. You got to work to align yourself with the wisdom of God about what you put in your body, what you put on your body, how you live your life the relationship that you have, whether you're striving to live at peace with all men, because you can stress yourself out. Stress is a silent killer, as they say about high blood pressure, a silent killer. These are things that we just got to stop in the name of life and purpose and get a hold to what we're doing. Many people live unconscious of what they put in their mouths. Don't even think about it. But now we're going to tap the little baby on the hand about putting some bad stuff or some stuff off the floor in their mouths when we adults are putting bad stuff in our mouths on a regular basis. And I'm tapping us on the hand this morning. Hey, think about what you're doing. Think about what you're putting in your body. All right? Oh, I got to move on. So some of us have got to, and I'm praying for you and me too, to help break the addictions to sugar, sodas, processed foods, genetically modified foods that we're bringing into our homes. We don't even think about that item, whether it's been naturally developed, raised, or it's been sped up in the process. If I was eating a lot of chicken, I would not eat a chicken that within 3 weeks, 3 weeks of coming out of the mother chicken or the rooster or whatever, hen or whatever, and then 3 weeks later, it's packaged on the supermarket shelves or counter or in the freezer or wherever they put them at. And we're eating stuff like that to where they have sped up the growth of that particular animal. And we're eating it. So we need to know who is producing the food. Where are they producing it at? With what are they producing the food? So we didn't have to ask those questions when we had our own farms, when we had our own gardens. We didn't have to ask those questions. But now that somebody else is doing it, it's a good thing to know, because you just can't trust it. People are producing things not for the sake of your health, but to make money. And if you are not in the know, and they know that you're not in the know, they keep pumping it on you. And you keep going out there buying it because it looks nice, it's dressed up, it has some taste to it, and then everybody is doing it. You better be careful about following what everybody is doing. Jesus said, broad is the way that leads to destruction. Narrow or disciplined, focused is the way that leads to life. That's why I will not follow the crowd. I will not. I learned that from the Lord, not following the crowd. Because many of the crowd, they're ignorant. They're not aware of what's happening. Don't even think about, and I've talked to people who don't even care about who produced the food or how it was produced. I just want something to eat, something to put in my gut. I'm hungry. Well, there are a lot of people who are eating and starving while they're eating. Oh, yeah. A lot of people. They are starving themselves at the dinner table and poisoning themselves at the dinner table or the lunch table or the whatever. They don't know it. See, if that food was not like the food that God gave, pure, unadulterated, animals that he said to eat, raised the way he said to raise them, if that food item is not done the way that the Creator said to do it. I'm not talking about these mad scientists. I call them mad scientists. I'm talking about the way that the Creator designed that thing to be raised. If it's not raised that way, sooner or later, you're going to have problems in the body. And nowadays it's sooner than the later, because we're eating so much of junk. And we're calling it food at times, a lot of times, unconscious of the fact that if it's got, look, there are items that are on the market that even the ants, the insects, won't even bite into. Now, the insect says, I don't want that apple because of the way the apple was raised. What am I doing putting it in my body? Is the insect more intelligent than us? If they will stay away from some of these vegetables or fruits that they put these chemicals on in the name of killing the insect, if they won't even bite into it, what am I doing biting into it? What are you doing biting into it? You know, something to think about. Many people are poisoning themselves and starving themselves at the dinner table. Ignorantly, of course, because no intelligent individual is going to put poison in their system. But see, if you're not aware of that genetically modified watermelon, the watermelon that has no seed, or that grapefruit that has no seed, or that tomato that, oh my God, when you cut it open, it doesn't look like natural stuff, the way the tomato was raised naturally. You know, you cut a tomato open, you slice it down the middle and look at it, you'll see something that it looks like a heart. God was sending a message that even that tomato is good for the heart, good for the digestive system, good for a lot of different reasons, you know, and other food items that God made that when you look at them very carefully, they look like the human body, different parts of the human body. He was sending a message to us that that particular item is good for a certain aspect of your anatomy, like the walnut. You look at the walnut, it looks like the brain. When you take it out of the shell, looks like the brain. God was sending a message to us that the walnut, I created it with the capacity, with the fiber and the oil that's in the walnut, as long as it is raw, it's good for the brain. Because the brain is 60% fat. And the fat in the walnut and other nutrients will help with the brain, will also help with the prostate, will help with the intestinal tract and other aspects of the body. This is why God gave it to us like that. We got to get on top of information like this so that when you go shopping, you shop judiciously, with wisdom, with insight that says things like this: read the label. If you're going to the store and you're picking up something that has a label on it, by all means read the label. They're telling you what is in that product. Now, if you go to the garden, you don't have to worry about reading a label. Why? Because you're getting natural stuff, hopefully in the way that God gave it, the seed, and that seed will produce life. It will produce foods that were designed, to give you life, energy, regenerating energy and regenerating life. So you don't find stuff in the garden with a label on it. Todd said eating is a form of communication between the body and the food we consume. It sure is. Food carries information. There is information in that walnut. There is information in that carrot. There is information in that broccoli. And I could go on and on and on. Your food carries information. And your body takes that information, breaks it down, and if your body was talking back to you, it would say things like, now, wait a minute, that item right there doesn't match my chemical makeup. Now, I'm going to have to rob from Peter to pay Paul to keep you alive because you put something in here that contradicts the data that I was designed with. Oh my God. We're going to have fun with this. Let's have fun while we learn. While I get on your toes at times, while I stir up your thinking and your imagination, because unless somebody does it, man, many of us are headed to an early grave. And many people who have unfortunately eaten themselves to death. More people are killing themselves with a spoon and a fork than people who die in wars with a spoon. Think about it. What is costing our country more than anything else? More than the cars we buy, the houses we build? The health bill. Or, let's break it down and say it like it really is, the sick care bills that we pay. Sick care. We're paying for sick care, not for health care, for the most part. You show me what you put in your grocery basket, and I'll show you whether you are health care conscious or not. Oh, I'm going to say that again. Show me what you put in your grocery basket, and I will show you whether you are sick care conscious or health care conscious by what you put in your basket. And not only that, of course, whether you get up and exercise or not. Whether you strive to have great relationships. Whether you get as much sunlight as you can. And other factors too. We'll get into some of that a little bit later on. All right? We're just talking wisdom nuggets for wellness right now. Okay? You can gain a lot out of that. So some of us got to break the addictions. Some of us have to break the peer pressure of doing what everybody else is doing. Again, you just got to stop following the crowd. You got to do like Peter did. Get up out of the boat. Get away from the crowd. Step out there on the authority of what God said about the human body. All right? Some of us have to break traditions. I'm telling you stuff that I've had to do and still have to keep a watch out to see if there's anything operating in here in my life that I may be putting in my body that just does not line up with the instructions and the wisdom of God. See, some of you just live and you got to break it. Well, so-and-so did it. Well, the bishop eats this way. Yeah, the bishop may be 100 pounds overweight. The bishop may be still fighting with different problems himself. So you got to be careful with what you follow. Follow those who through faith and patience, if it's in the area of health, who go on to have, healthy lives. If it's in the area of finances, relationship, or whatever, you got to follow people who are effectively modeling what you desire to have in your life. That's what I want to get out right there. Some of us have to break those unhealthy habits. And there's certain things I still deal with myself, but my point here is you got to focus on your health. If you're going to have a healthier life, it begins with focus. Being conscious of the fact that my number one wealth is my health, and I've got to put some focus on it. Now, if you take care of your house, you ought to be thinking in terms of taking care of this house first. If you're maintaining your vehicle on a regular basis, just go back first and think maintenance, have an examination on this vehicle first so I can give proper maintenance, regular maintenance to what's happening with this. Because if I don't have this, I'm not going to be able to take care of the house. I'm not going to be able to take care of the car. I'm not going to be able to love on my loved ones as I need to and as they need me to love on them and all that stuff. So you got to take care of you first. To the degree that you love you is to the degree that you love others. So if you're ignorant about how to take care of your body, then you'll be ignorant about how to tell somebody to take care of theirs. We got to come up to par. Our health care bill is over $4 trillion a year. We spend well over $400 billion a year in this country on meds. Oh my God. We got to make some changes. From the last thing I've seen, the statistics, the healthcare bill is constantly going up. And a lot of it is right in what I've been sharing with you today and in other broadcasts about health. We're just ignorant about the body. And then some of us are just downright disobedient to the laws and the wisdom of God, but yet we go pray. Oh, Lord, bless me financially. Lord, bless me this way and bless me that way. But we don't want to hear God when it comes down to health. And we preachers, we are responsible first to lead the way because we're the priest. I know what you're going through. I used to deal with it myself and still have, certain areas. But we got to preach this thing. And if you're not going to preach it, you better get somebody in that church to preach on health. Because if not, well, online now that we have a church a lot online, because if not, you're going to have a long line of people. Pray for me, Pastor. What's wrong? I'm dizzy. My blood pressure is constantly too high. Just pray for me, Pastor. Or what are you eating? I ate 4 pieces of pork chop last night at 10:30 before I went to bed. No wonder you got blood pressure. No wonder you got other problems being developed. Look when you're eating and what you're eating. And I got to stop right there. Dear God, I got to stop. Focus on your health. Go after the wisdom of God concerning the human body. And as you do, you'll be rewarded with better health, more energy, clarity of thought and mind, and a whole lot of other good stuff. I got to stop now. Love you guys. Share the link. And on behalf of Girlfriend and I, we'll see you next time on Vibrant Living. God bless you. Have a great day.